Yuan Ming. Yuan, totality, everything in its original and pure form, round, whole, oneness, Tong, free flow, unobstructed flow, flowing with or openness. Ling, a state of human consciousness, of awareness, of creativity, a state in which one is inspired, and also a state in which one is bright and can manifest the full potential of human consciousness. And Ming is the state of clarity and oneness as human consciousness. Yuan Tong Ling Ming. Thanks to my beautiful squishy heart, which is actually a heart that my dad used to use after an accident he had with his hand. And he is a hairdresser, so he needs his hand to function. And now it's just lying around in a drawer somewhere, and I always use it for my web classes that I don't forget to turn on the recording. So I always hold this in my hand, and until I hold it in my hand before I lay it down, I know I still have to turn on the recording. Thanks to my squishy heart today, I would have almost forgotten. But the little trick worked. Apropos tricks. Are you familiar with the word apropos? It's French. Not that I speak French, but we use it in, by the way, since we are on the topic of, since we are on the topic of tricks, our loving, beautiful, false self. How have your last 2 weeks been, in which we spent with avoiding and hiding? If there have been any way a little bit like mine, then you might have had some difficulties the last 2 weeks since our last web class. I am aware about many people in the Rinche community, and of course also in our human community, in the community of humanity. Many people are having quite a difficult time currently. I know that from people in New Zealand, several. I know it from people in the Americas, several. I know it from people in Europe, several. And I'm extremely grateful, so grateful for being allowed to know about this through the contact and to be allowed to help others, to be asked for help. And so I thank you if you are participating today, if you're one of those people. I thank you for your trust. I will always do my best to be there for you. And I will also keep doing or trying better to be there, even better for myself, which today's topic, stubbornness, is going to help us all a lot. I'm sure of it. our false self and the trickiness of its nature of trying to keep control, trying to stay in control, trying to actively keeping us away of our true nature. So, therefore, we could say that sometimes going through a difficult or more challenging time in life development is a normal part of this journey, a normal part while we are walking on that path. There will be ups and downs. In one of my earlier web classes 4 or 5 years ago, I actually have drawn this, but now I just feel inspired to do this again. One moment. So, on this path of life cultivation, we are going up in spirals, right? So, there might be a mountain there. And then we are going around it in spirals. And actually, it looks more like this. We're going up, we're going down, we're going up, we're going down. But can you see how we are gently going upwards? Now, how do I get out of this again? Here. We are going to use our G field today to send to ourselves, to all the Ranger practitioners, our fellow Ranger practitioners, and also to all our fellow humans, this simple information about it's normal to have challenges. It's normal that the patterns are coming back for a while because of one of their natural things, and that is stubbornness in itself. We will get there, all of us. We will, with time, get to our true self and the inner peace. And on the way, everything will repair. If it's on the physical level, if it's on the energetic level, if it's on the emotional level, the mental level, or the spirit level, like attaining the true self in itself. So, if you are one of those human beings who is currently going through a bit of a challenging time, just know you are not alone. And we are here, all of us, together to support each other. As we are going through the information of stubbornness today, we will probably see a little bit of why this is like that with the challenges. Our fear of change, for example, and why stubbornness is such a big part of our life. So for today, let's see if we can do the reading part, the connecting with the information in a state of awareness like observation. So basically, what we are going to do today is Ling Yuan while we are practicing Ming Yuan. So the ninth method of Yuan Gong Zhe Jia. We are going to relax together now and prepare and unify with the Qi field of Ling Yuan, the eighth method. We're going to connect to the questions before the text today. And then I'd like you to completely relax. Like lay down, close your eyes, and just listen to Jance's information that I will read out for us. I will take time. I will go slow. And while you then listen to the words, turn on your Jia, and especially just trust your heart and your Shen Yi. So trust your heart consciousness, your Xin Ling, and your true self consciousness with its infinite potential and with its infinite access to the universe. About finding information for you that has to do with stubbornness and with the inability to change. Because this is often when we work consciously with our patterns, when we work consciously on our life, we sometimes wonder, am I unable to change? Especially when we have made a lot of progress. And then all of a sudden, a pattern comes back, or some behaviors are coming back that we thought we had transformed already, that we had replaced already. So in this moment, just Janse is here with us, and I am, just connecting with the Qi field, the information of the Qi field of the upcoming workshop, True Forgiveness, how we can, liberate ourselves from self-blame and come back to self-love. So this will go wonderfully in hand in just 3 weeks, I think, on the 21st of February. This will go wonderfully in hand with this pattern today, stubbornness. So trust your Xinling and your Shen Yi to come up with whatever information comes up today out of your personal life, out of your individual life, while I am reading the information of stubbornness. Don't worry so much about the words once your Shen is bringing you information. So we will do a silent phase afterwards, like we usually do with the Ling Yuan practice. But today, the Ling Yuan will happen while we are reading the information. And allow the information that's coming up, allow it to follow it. Observe it and follow it. And if you don't hear what I'm reading any longer, that's okay. Just allow yourself to follow the information. What does it mean when I say that? What I'm trying to express here is to, when you, for example, while I'm reading, there is an experience coming up for you from the past. All of a sudden, you're thinking of a person or a situation that you have been in with a person or an animal, or you are in a situation where you remember how uncomfortable you felt. Um, or maybe even a situation that you think has nothing to do with this pattern today. Allow yourself to keep following it and trust that if it comes up today, while we are in this Chi field for stubbornness, for the unhealthy pattern of stubbornness, go ahead and trust that it has something to do with this pattern. Now, this is very often quite an aha moment, you know, a realization like, wow, I didn't even connect the dots. But if it's coming up today, in while we're reading the text, you can be pretty sure, you can trust this fully that it has something to do. It could be a manifestation that you haven't been able to be aware yet. So a manifestation of stubbornness in your life. So basically, when you see yourself or you finding yourself in a conversation from the past or in a situation from the past, then this might show you where you might have been stubborn or where this pattern of stubbornness was triggered and you were functioning through it in some way. So do yourself a favor and don't immediately say, oh no, this has got nothing to do with stubbornness. I can't see it. Just let it be there and go, oh, wow, this is interesting, right? So love yourself, have compassion for yourself, and simply go, that's so interesting. I would have never seen this ever before yet. It could be not a manifestation of how stubbornness comes up. It could be a reason for existence, why you keep holding on to this sort of stubbornness in certain situations. So, what would be the validity that your false self comes up with? Why this is important to be stubborn that way? It could be a cause, which very often is what we feel as a far-fetched thing. So, a cause of a pattern could often not be stubbornness in itself, but it could be the reason why we have become stubborn in certain situations, or why it continued to formate, so why the pattern became stronger and stronger. You might actually have experience of possible future visions. So you might receive information in some form of, of seeing like a scene being played upon within your mind, like the internal television screen. Or you might receive some words, maybe keywords, or a whole phrase about the possibility of negative effects. Again, these might be very scary sometimes to look at, to observe. Remember that these are not fixed informations. These are just possible scenarios, possible negative effects. And your Shen is bringing you this information. So that you can have driving force, that you can have strength, that you can have, um, motivation to keep moving forward. Maybe it can help you through a little rut when um, you didn't practice for a while, or you just decided to you don't have the strength to keep looking internal. Um, you could feel like this is futile, this work, or that you just can't do it anymore, that it's too much or too difficult. And so trust the chi field of Ling Yuan, trust the chi field of Ren She. It is there to help you see those things. It is there to give you a little notch and a little push on and off. The false self tries to stop us, but the Ren She chi field tries to keep helping us forward, keep pushing us, so to speak, gently and sometimes not so gently, depending on how big the stubbornness is inside of us. Trust the universe. It is acting through love. It is operating from love. The universe, the chi field, Yanze, me, we want you. The whole chi, the whole Ren Shui community. We all, you are included in that. We all want to get better. Every human wants you to get better, and definitely the universe. And if we need a little possible negative scenario, maybe this is the day, this is the information you've been missing to make a change, to allow a change. So this could be possibly, instead of scary, a very beautiful thing to look at. Don't identify with it. Yeah? This is a sort of like probably also a fear of yours, a possible negative scenario, a possible negative effect. Don't take it as fixed. Just take it as, wow, this is one of the possibilities. Okay, wow. I will open my heart to that. I will fully, and like maybe gratitude is a fantastic Wushin quality here. Yeah? One of the heart qualities. I truly am grateful for having been shown this. And this will be the incentive for you to finally break through and replace a pattern. One never knows. Maybe this is the last day where you will feel tired and exhausted. Maybe this is the last day where you will feel insecure and scared, or alone, dizzy, or some pressured, feeling pressure in your body, in your head, in your heart. There is always an end to everything. Why not today? And if not today, then, well, another day. We will get through this together, eventually or right away. Don't give up. And I'm saying this to myself as much as to you guys. While I'm reading the text, you might also come in contact with what feels like a very good idea. You will feel very lively it is replacement information, possible replacement information. It will feel like, oh, this is a really good idea. You will feel very light and very energetic in that moment. Maybe euphoria is sort of a word. One could feel like you will feel clear, and though the euphoria will not be with excitement, but it will be feeling very peaceful and very clear. So that's always a good um, sign for that this is being a really good replacement information. While I'm also reading the text, you might feel incredibly inspired to change the pattern. So your intention in regard of what to do with the pattern. You might feel a very strong being moved from your heart to truly wanting to change. So while you are listening, while I'm reading, and again, if any type of information is coming your way, if you are, so to speak, people, we humans call that drifting off into our own world a lot. If that happens to you today in the Chi field, while I'm reading about stubbornness, allow yourself to go there. Follow up. It is not that important that you hear every word that I am reading. You also don't need to be under the pressure that you have to remember it. Trust the Chi field and yourself, the true self. It's there and they will bring you information. And if it comes, just follow along. You can trust that you will come back to the next thing that's important for you to hear. You will be hearing my words again. You will be understanding the phrases that I'm reading again. Because remember, the Renju field is transmitting in three ways: verbally, through demonstration, but also and mainly through heart to heart, Shen to Shen. So, information, you might listen, you might hear two phrases of what I read only, but you might go on a big journey of realizing a lot about the pattern of stubbornness. Okay? So don't make yourself listen with your left brain, that you have to understand every word completely. Information can come in totality, also through totality, in pictures, in senses, in smells, in experiences, past, present, future. And so I have worked through all through 7 of the 8 questions of Ling Yuan for now. Did you recognize that I worked through the 8 questions of Ling Yuan? And here is one more. So the last part of Ling Yuan is usually to accept and affirm through one or all the Wu Xin. So one or all the heart qualities. Accepting and affirming means that you might find yourself after information has been rolling or after you heard one phrase of the text. And in this moment, you realized something on a deep level of, yes, that's what I'm doing. Or, yes, this is what I want to stop. Or, oh, this is where it comes from, etc., etc. You might then experience a very strong surge of, of trust or of openness. You might go into a deeply unified state. You might start seeing chi or feel chi moving somewhere in your body or in your head. You might see lights inside your head. This is usually openness from the heart. You might experience a surge of love that brings tears to your eyes, or gratitude. Or you might just be in this state of awe and humility of how wonderful life can be and how the chi field and the universe and just everything is so amazing. And you are in the state of Gongqing then. So if that happens, don't try to struggle back to listen to the words I'm saying. Just enjoy that state of oneness, that state of unification, that state of Wu Xin, because this is accepting and affirming through one of the Wu Xin qualities. Okay? So let's go into the text. The questions are already very strong in the Chi field now. Trust that Ling Yuan is happening already. Information is already moving, and you will be led through the inquiry of your life by the Chi field, by me, by my heart and Shen, by Yance's heart and Shen, by everybody's heart and Shen, by the universe's love and wisdom, which is Tao. Allow your body to fully relax. And there's always the recordings. You can always go back and re-listen and re-listen and re-listen. So you don't need to worry today, right now, right here, that you will be missing out on something. Allow yourself to go on a journey of information within you, from within your life, and from within totality. Can you feel your awareness now? You are ready. Go ahead and draw your vision back. And relax your whole body. Relax every part of yourself. Turning into chi, you are. Open to become Yuan Chi. you basically cease to exist because you have become one with Yuan Qi. Identify with being only Qi. There is no inside, there is no more outside. Everything has become bright, pure, original Yuan Qi. Your Shin Ling, your heart consciousness, is also one with all. Your Shen Yi is completely one with all. Your entire life is one with totality. All is good in your world right now, right here. Feel the calmness. Feel the inner liberation of stress and pressure. Feel the inner peace here and now. You are open and transformation is happening. You are ready. The origins and background of stubbornness. The pattern of stubbornness refers to attitudes or behaviors of resisting change. It is a strong determination to hold fast to one's own opinions, positions, or decisions, despite good reasons to change them. When we insist on an idea or decision based on good reasons and principles, it is persistence. which is different from stubbornness. So I will read this again. When we insist on an idea or decision based on good reasons and principles, it is persistence, which is different from stubbornness. Stubbornness is persistence without good reasoning, logic, or support. We can say it is kind of extreme persistence. Other terms that are often associated with stubbornness include single-mindedness, to be rigid, to be pig-headed or bull-headed, to be stiff-necked. From these terms, you get a sense that people who are stubborn refuse to consider other viewpoints or ways of thinking, or to be changed by external influences. Yeah, so people who are stubborn refuse to consider other viewpoints, refuse to consider other ways of thinking, or they refuse to be changed by external influences. They refuse to change with changing situations. The formation of the pattern of stubbornness is a complex process. It has something to do with the development of the human species. For example, in ancient times, persistence was important for humans to gather and hunt, so as to have enough reserves for their survival. The instinct to seek benefit and avoid harm, to seek interest and avoid harm, to seek simplicity and avoid complexity, to seek easy solutions and to avoid extra work, drove them to stick to the choices that gave them the best chance for survival. Furthermore, sticking to the same idea or plan is often a simple and practical solution for a complex situation or problem. Extreme and bigoted views can be found everywhere in our cultural, social, and even educational environment. this kind of information and culture and their manifestations provide material and nutrients for forming the pattern of stubbornness. So, how our culture around us functions, how our social structures seem to function around us, and even our educational structure. So, what we learn in school or in certain trainings, in certain educations, these all are food for stubbornness to form and grow. However, eventually it is the personal factor that determines how a person views everything and whether this pattern will be formed. Examples of stubbornness can be seen everywhere. Usually, stubbornness is not a constant state. Rather, it manifests through specific things or situations. So, this explains often why, you know, we feel we're making good progress with life development, and then the pattern of stubbornness activates itself from deep within, because we might not even be aware of some fear deep inside. We might have this desire or even the need to have something keep being the way it is. And in that situation, stubbornness then manifests. And that would manifest within going back to an old behavior or, um, having to resort to tactics of avoiding and hiding. However, in some cases, stubbornness can be an overall personality trait that manifests extensively through both thought and action. Why is it that some people seem to be more prone to developing this pattern? One of the many causes is the fundamental life orientation. We can divide life orientation into two broad categories. One is proactively seeking, one is proactively seeing the future as something positive to pursue, and the other is seeing the future as something negative, something that requires precautions. So, our overall life orientation can either be the future will bring positive things, or it will be negative things, and we have to be careful. The focus of the former is on the good things that might happen in the future, while the focus of the latter is preventing bad things from happening. Yeah? So when we're positive, we think that we are with all the good things that will happen to me and will happen. And the second one, the negative part, is that the focus will be on trying to prevent bad things from happening. People with the latter orientation are more likely to develop the pattern of stubbornness. Yeah. So if we are stuck in constantly protecting because we are in fear of something negative will happen, something scary will happen, this is when we will become stubborn, or when we will be sort of um, engulfed by stubbornness, or controlled by the pattern of stubbornness. We will think stubbornly and we will act stubbornly. For example, when moving out of our comfort zone and faced with a new situation, we might fear potential danger. So let's say we have an accident or we get sick, or the false self is acting up really strongly because it feels that we are getting closer to the true self. And so now it's acting up really strongly to keep control. These are all situations where we would not feel very comfortable because we might have, experienced a time where there was less pain or less tiredness or, more material security. Or we might experience a time in which we were more open, more unified, where we had more access to this calm, relaxed, and peaceful inner state. So all of this might feel to us that we're in danger. Now, one option is to stick to our old ways despite the external changes, because we don't want to disrupt the stability and the level of balance that we are used to. I will read this again because it's quite crucial. One option is to stick to our old ways despite the external changes, because we don't want to disrupt the stability and level of balance we are used to. So, no matter how bad the new situation is now, in a way, we are used to what we are doing and how we are doing it. So we are sort of we are sort of feeling, no matter how uncomfortable the new situation is, we feel, we think we are safer in the old ways. There is a certain stability and a certain sensation of balance coming from how we used to do things, how we used to think things, how we used to experience things. Interesting is that through the law, the universal law of cause and effect, these old ways actually have brought us into that situation in some ways. However, another option is presenting itself, the option to change. The option to change. It's always an option. In some cases, people can see the destruction of their views as equal to the destruction of their personal worth. Here we can see the avoiding and hiding pattern, the insecurity acting on us. We think we lose our own personal worth when we would change our views. In these cases, people find it extremely difficult to accept other people's disagreements or criticisms. Being questioned is painful because they associate it with an attack on their dignity. These people have difficulty separating objective reality from their own self-identity. They tend to interpret different ideas or different comments as attempts to attack their faith or their values, or that someone tries to undermine their personal worth. So I think the word interpretation is really important here. Yeah? To interpret that differing ideas or comments are an attack to faith, values, and personal worth. Sticking to their own ideas or thoughts becomes a way to defend their dignity. Or sticking to their own ideas and thoughts becomes a way to express their will to protect themselves. When challenged, do you sometimes think that if you change or give up your ideas or decisions, that it is like admitting that you were wrong? Maybe that it means that you were not smart, which equals not competent, and then not competent equals no worth. If you admit someone else is right, is that like saying he or she is smarter than you? So he or she has won and you have lost? Therefore, when we are challenged or questioned, we can become hyper alert and overreactive, as if we are under threat or attack. This will prompt us to stick to our own ideas and be unwilling to consider different ones. We often think it is our experiences that determine and shape our subjective view of the world. However, our own Shen, true self, consciousness, and Shin, the heart, actually play a very significant role in determining what we perceive as experiences. A person who has a good sense of security and safety often receives friendly and positive treatment from others. This has something to do with what she pays attention to, how she interprets information conveyed by others, and what she assumes to be the cause of events. This person. I will read this again. It's a quite complex phrase. A person who has a good sense of security and safety often receives friendly and positive treatment from others. This has something to do with what she pays attention to, how she interprets information conveyed by others, and also what she assumes to be the cause of events. family environment can also play a role in the formation of the pattern of stubbornness. For example, research has found that children with two types of family experiences are more prone to develop stubbornness. One is spoiled children, and the other is children with low self-esteem due to hardship and failure. So let's look at this a little bit more. One of the two types is spoiled children who are used to getting what they want and therefore find it hard to tolerate disagreement or opposition. The other is children with low self-esteem due to hardship or failure. They tend to doubt their abilities and fear the unknown. They can try to prove their worth by rebelling or refusing to cooperate or refusing to change. The formation of the pattern of stubbornness is complex. One of the main contributing factors is other unhealthy patterns. They contribute to the construction of stubbornness, and stubbornness helps reinforce these other patterns. Therefore, changing this pattern requires work on changing other unhealthy patterns as well. Let's look at the general and specific manifestations of stubbornness. Stubbornness is a very common quality. It is not difficult to find it even within our closest circle, such as family members, friends, and associates. When we experience difficulty getting ideas across or changing someone's mind, we often come to the conclusion that they are too stubborn. In a way, we can say stubbornness is a result of not being able to properly differentiate subjective reality, from objective reality. So not properly able to differentiate subjective reality from objective reality. When this way of dealing with reality is applied repeatedly, it can start to become a pattern. The pattern of stubbornness can manifest in many different ways. Fixed thinking is one of them. It is applying a thought or a view formed previously to a current situation, even when inappropriate. So applying something from the past to something in the current situation. Stubbornness can also be used as a strategy or means to get what one wants. This behavior is often selective. For example, when a child finds that his stubbornness is demanding, sorry, again. For example, when a child finds that his stubbornness in demanding what he wants from his parents works very well, he will keep using this strategy. Not so sure if this is only children. More often, the manifestation of stubbornness is provoked or defensive rather than preemptive or aggressive. The pattern manifests when a person seeks a self-protective mechanism, even when the change being called for is seen as reasonable. For example, when a person is reluctant to do a task, he or she will leave it undone or wait until the last minute. When a person holds resentment or a grudge against someone, he or she may deliberately use stubbornness to show it or to let that person know that he or she refuses to be controlled. Stubbornness is often used as a tool or weapon to achieve an end. We all learned early on to use this weapon to get what we want and to satisfy our needs. For example, when a young person is eager to get away from the control of parents, or perhaps this person is going through a rebellious stage, he may strongly go against his parents' wish and hold on to his own position stubbornly. It is not necessarily that he does not agree with his parents, rather, holding on to his own position in a way to gain control of his life. This passive stubbornness is sometimes also used in couples or among friends and work colleagues. The underdog often will adopt stubbornness to express themselves and claim some control. In the case of one party feeling unfairly treated or disrespected and losing power, stubbornness is often used to protest and to show power, even if it is clear that the other party makes sense. I think this is really, really, really an interesting and a really important aspect here. Well, they're all important, of course, but have you ever It's important for ourselves to understand sometimes why we even do some things when we don't even want to do them. And also, it's important because of becoming aware of compassion, to be able to feel compassion for those who, really confuse us with their going back to their position, even so they even agreed already inside of themselves and to someone else. Oh yeah, this makes sense. Oh yeah, that feels good. That feels, true. And just either a few moments later or a day later or a month later, they're back to that old part. So stubbornness is, how it is with patterns. It's so much easier to see in others, of course. And it doesn't mean that it's all in oneself. Sure, other people have patterns too, right? But to a degree, we have that in our life so we can become aware of our own stubbornness. But, being able to bring compassion up and understand this. Oh, wow, okay, so they are just trying to keep some control because they have been left on their own devices, they have been left alone, they have been in some other time in their life, and now they're scared to lose control. And if you can connect to that aspect, either when someone else is stubborn or for yourself, have compassion for yourself when you are stubborn, or to find out when you are stubborn, that you're trying to keep control. You have the fear of the unknown, the fear of change, and you don't know where it goes, or understand them that this is where they're coming from. So if you can connect to their fear of change, or the fear of the unknown, probably also their own insecurity of being good enough in that new situation. If you can connect to that, you will see, instead of being grumpy or whatever comes up for you for, being disliking their stubbornness, you can be in the state of love, of accommodation, of compassion for them. Because, nobody likes to be out of control, so to speak. And this is what you can do for yourself to be in a nicer state when you have to deal with stubborn people or when you have to deal with yourself. Hmm? If a person is excessively stubborn about something and you are having difficulty communicating ideas, perhaps you need to look deeper to see if the person is actually trying to express something else. You should then try to understand their real needs and address them. I think this is exactly what I tried to express as well just now. Okay, one with Janse again. Makes me happy. Also makes me feel I'm not, you know, telling you any wrong things, so to speak, anything that doesn't follow the laws of the universe. That's why it makes me happy when I discover I'm saying similar things to what Janse would say. Stubbornness does not have any direct correlation with one's educational background or intelligence. On the contrary, people with more education or who seem smarter are often better at collecting evidence and information in favor of their position to prove that they are right. Evidence and information contrary to their position could intentionally or unintentionally be left out. This is another way how stubbornness manifests. In terms of age, the elderly tend to be more prone to stubbornness. This is probably due to the fact that they have had a long time to form their views on what works and what doesn't through a variety of life experiences and from trial and error. Their opinions and views have been working for them for some time and have gradually become set, fixed. They feel very safe and comfortable in their set ways, so they are reluctant to change. Furthermore, the elderly are not as good as young people at keeping up with all the trends and changes, so they don't adapt as easily. To other people, the elderly can appear to be stubborn. So this is Janze putting in some compassion information for all of us. For those who are not elderly yet, but deal with elderly in their lives, to be compassionate about that, to understand where they're coming from. And for those of us who are elderly already, to have compassion for self a bit more. The following list can be used to help you see if you have a tendency towards stubbornness. Okay, don't brace your heart, just open your heart. Open your heart. When faced with different ideas or suggestions, do you often feel it is extremely unsafe to abandon or change your ideas? Do you often find it difficult to make sense out of other people's ideas or suggestions? Making sense of other people's ideas and suggestions. When facing different ideas or suggestions, do you often feel very uncomfortable, strongly resistant, or emotionally disturbed? Do you lose your ability to reason? And do you lose your ability to consider differing ideas objectively? Do you often take other people's attempts to change your ideas as a personal attack or an act to undermine your worth? So, do you feel like other people are out there to get you? Are you often told that you are stubborn by the people around you, either in your family or your social circle? Do you feel uncomfortable going through these questions above? You just gotta love the answer. If you did answer yes to 3 or more of these questions, you may want to work on this pattern. Relax. Remember, you don't need to remember any of this information. Work with it in the here and now. Trust what is coming up for you. Relax. If you have movements in your head or your heart, accept them, allow them to be there. Relax into these places. We are sitting in a very strong chi field. We are coming to the validity and advantage. The pattern of stubbornness, in a sense, could be beneficial to life in the following ways. In a world where there are countless new and foreign ideas on offer, this pattern seems to lend some steadiness rather than the need to catch up with and adapt to the constant changes. It can provide some stability and sense of security. Being stubborn seems to have the effect of fending off or subverting certain unreasonable or aggressive propositions. It seems to be a way of making one's views or positions heard or respected, especially when one is treated unfairly. So, for example, in terms of human rights, right? Stubbornness seems to help protect dignity and confidence and let others know not to walk over you or try to manipulate you. Some people may wonder if there is such a thing as good stubbornness. There is a Chinese idiom: make a good choice and stick to it. Now, what is a good choice? It is a choice that is appropriate, suitable, and sound. So the focus is the type of choice we make. If we make a good choice and follow it through, then the road ahead will get broader and broader. This is a kind of grit and persistence, and it is quality worth cultivating. This is a kind of grit and persistence, and it is a quality worth cultivating, making a good choice and following through with it. Which brings us to the possible negative effects. Everything is constantly changing and developing. It is up to us to understand the process of change and how to work with change. I highlight this again. It is up to us to understand the process of change and how to work with change. If we refuse to do that and we insist on viewing things in a fixed way, what we see may not be the truth. This will inevitably lead to discordance and conflict on all levels, both with ourselves and with others. Although stubbornness can seem to provide some security and safety, this security and safety is mostly temporary and superficial. In the long run, what it does is actually increase the degree of instability and insecurity. Stubbornness may help us retain control and, in a way, ensure fairness. But in the long run, no one really wins. It can jeopardize the interests of self and of others. Problems can be created, and small problems can become big problems. Stubbornness can, at times, seem to help protect our dignity and self-esteem. In reality, however, stubbornness does not build real confidence and self-esteem, and it also does not win true respect from others. Most likely, it will have the opposite effect. The pattern of stubbornness is an unhealthy habit. When forced to change a habit, we can feel extremely uncomfortable and unhappy, or even frustrated and angry. We can even become aggressive. It is not uncommon to see stubbornness causing all kinds of difficulty in relationships. Friendships are cut short. A marriage can be torn apart. Harmony in the family can be disrupted. Eventually, friends can become foes and family members can become strangers. Stubbornness can make apologizing extremely difficult, too, even when we realize it's the right thing to do. Stubbornness can be seen as poison for human relationships. Poison for human relationships, huh? The difficulty in adjusting and adapting, and the disharmony in relationships caused by stubbornness can seriously affect a person's mental and emotional well-being. However, due to stubbornness, this person may find it difficult to share the agony and distress with others and accept others' advice, which can lead to the accumulation of unresolved ill feelings and a twisting of the heart and consciousness. Let's share a story about two frogs. Once upon a time, a frog lived in a pond far away from the road. One day, he approached the road and saw a frog who lived in a puddle. He suggested to that frog, "Listen, it is dangerous living by the road with so much traffic going by. Why don't you move to the pond? It's much safer there. Plus, the water is much deeper and there is plenty of food." The frog living in the puddle rejected the suggestion immediately and said, "I have lived here for some time and I am used to it. I don't think I can adapt to a new place." A few days later, they bumped into each other again. The frog from the pond said, "How about you come to the pond and have a look before making your decision?" The frog living in the puddle rejected the suggestion for the same reason and said, "I have lived here for quite a while now, and look, I'm still okay." A few days later, a heavy horse cart went by and ran over the frog in the puddle. He did not survive. Poor froggy. The law of cause and effect. So this is not about your own stubbornness now. This is for when you encounter stubborn people. Do your best to love them. Do your best to inside of you trust that they can change. Be compassionate and keep trying to help them change. Even if it's pushing them a little bit. With love and compassion, it shouldn't become your attempt of controlling them. With love and compassion, You will stay within the clarity of wanting to support their growth. Which brings us to the possible replacement patterns. If your stubbornness is directed only towards certain people, for example, a family member or a friend, first consider whether there are other underlying issues in this relationship. What is causing you to feel uncomfortable or unhappy with the relationship? Think about what the obstacles are and how to deal with them. So this thinking about what the obstacles are and how to deal with them, this would be an expression of love and compassion. Below are situations we could find ourselves in where we might want to give ourselves more time to think before making a choice. When you fear that change will bring uncertainty, unfamiliarity, confusion, or loss of control, remind yourself that change is not a scary thing. Change can make the future better. When others' disagreement feels like a personal attack, remind yourself to think again. It is highly likely that it is not. When you sense that someone is trying to persuade you to change your view or position, and you immediately decide that you won't, remind yourself to open your heart and mind to different possibilities. A decision can be made after you have understood the different views or positions. Try to put yourself in someone else's shoes and look at things from there before you decide to stick to your own view or position. This will help you see things from a different perspective and broaden your view. It can help you adjust your view or position so it can become more objective and balanced. Even if you eventually decide to hold on to your original view. So, in other words, allow new information in from different people, allow different perspectives and more aspect of one situation to come into your awareness, allow them to enter you, allow them to percolate. Yeah. You can even go back, you can stay with your own view after you have allowed many different aspects in. Then it probably will be closer to the truth. And closer to the truth in our understanding in Renshe means that we then follow Tao closer, following the laws. And when we follow with the laws, we are floating and flowing instead of bumping into obstacles all the time. When you have the urge to stick to your own view or position as a way to protest, calm yourself down and remind yourself that this approach does not work and it does not help deal with problems. On the contrary, it can only make problems more complicated and worse. If you think it is necessary, you can observe people who are very open to different ideas and who are ready to change their own for the better. Yeah, so you can observe people who can do that. Watch how they deal with disagreements and how they take on new ideas and use them in a constructive way. Look at how being open and flexible has benefited their lives. Examples can be very powerful when it comes to helping ourselves make change. On a different note, when you try to communicate with a stubborn person and the communication is difficult, you should make building trust and gaining mutual understanding the goal of your communication, rather than persuading him to change his mind. First, express your appreciation, acknowledgement, and your acceptance. Start by getting to know his views and thoughts and let him know that you understand them. Make sure you express your differing views or position in a calm and friendly manner. It might also help if you make it very clear that you are sharing a different view or position rather than trying to dispute his or questioning his ability to form a view or position. Let the person feel your sincerity and your good intention. Sincerity and good intention usually will be well received and can win trust. If your relationship with him improves and becomes more harmonious, it will help both parties with decision making. You need to be aware that this usually is not a one-off job. You need to be patient with this process. Bear in mind that if you lose patience and start hurrying or become too pushy, he may raise his guard or become defensive. You need to give him time and space to process the matter. So, love and compassion. Which brings us to the conclusion. And in the case of this pattern of stubbornness, the conclusion of Yangtze are 10 questions that he asks us. So here are 10 questions that can be used to identify more specifically where the areas are that you can work on. One, when you are told of your shortcomings, do you choose to ignore what is being said? Two, when you are told that you haven't done something properly, do you continue to do it the same way? Three, do you agree or accept someone's request, knowing very well that you will not do it? Four, have you often been told by family members or close friends that it is difficult to communicate with you? Five, do you continue to do something even when your family members are constantly complaining about it? Six, are you argumentative? Seven, when you have made a change, do you reverse it because it has made you feel uncomfortable? Eight, do you hold on to your own ideas because you don't want to be seen as wrong? 9, do you usually criticize or try to find fault in new things? 10, do you carry on doing something you really want to do even though everyone opposes it? Stubbornness is like a wall we build between ourselves and others. It blocks our connection and communication with them. Only when we tear down this wall can we enjoy true happiness, true freedom, and true development of life. With all this beautiful information, go ahead and sit down quietly. Awareness inside, lifting from Bai Hui, lifting Hui Yin to lower Dantian, awareness to being Qi, information, and the Qi field. Awareness that you are unified with the Ling Yuan Qi field. Awareness that you are unified with totality through trust and love. Through openness and gratitude. Through Gongqing. Sit with yourself, with your true and false. Sit with the universe. You are one with the light of the wisdom of the universe. Allow the silence to bring space for information and trust that you can allow these changes, that you are allowing these changes, and that you are transforming here and now. Allow yourself to go into the silence of your true self. Gently come back to your heart. Unify with the chi field and draw all the information back to the center in your head. Unify with the chi field and draw information back together with the chi to lower dantian. Nourish chi in dantian. And then, if you want to continue to sit, keep doing so. If you want to end, gently open your legs. Rub chi in your kidneys and vibrate chi down, guiding chi down to your feet and up, back to dantian, and then to the head and face. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you. And Yuan Tong, Ling Ming.